I was just saying I will just try to set the tone of the discussion more than to get into technical details, because I think everyone there's many people here that are much more expert in the technical details. What I wanted to say that first of all, I'm Matteo Fortini. I'm based in Italy, in Rome, for the Department for Digital Transformation of the Italian government. We have three communities, let's say. One community is about code, open source. Another community is about the design of websites, accessible design that produces design kits, and it's very active in this way, and the open data and open government community. We have many projects around. One project that I can stress here is the National Digital Data Platform, which is a mixture of an API catalog, a national data catalog for semantic interoperability with semantic data inside, and some guidelines for technical interoperability. We work in improving digital competencies, cloud connectivity, identity, everything that you can think about innovation and digital innovation in the public sector. We are trying to be a kind of authority for design of these things, and we have some projects that we do directly control. Why do we? Okay, let's see if it stays still. Why do we talk about open data? Because there's European rules about open data and the reuse of the public sector information. It says that documents produced by public sector bodies are available pool of resources that can benefit society, and also it can benefit transparency and accountability, because we can allow the reuse of documents and add value to for the benefit of users. We have a database society as much as we can, because we want to understand the world and to use data to understand the world. And we want to have an economy of data, because sharing data is a good way to use them for the benefit of economy, for using for enabling the use of new technologies like artificial intelligence, for example. And this is we want it to be as open as we can, because we know that it's better to share data than to sell it, let's say, because the impact is much bigger. Right now, we started in Italy to get, we took into our laws the European Public Sector Information Law, and we are publishing the Italian guidelines on open data. It's pending approval. And one thing that we stress, and I think a new thing that we added in the Italian guidelines is that the definition of document and data is not always easy to separate. And the guidelines say that documents and data are all under these guidelines. And if you publish data inside a document, then all the data must be published separately. So if you publish a graph or a table, you need to publish it as open data separately in a format which is machine readable and open and everything else that we know. Most of you may know the chain, the open data publishing chain that we have in Europe, at least. We start from a distribution with a data set, a raw data set. We have a catalog of data sets that is composed of distributions. All these data sets go into a national catalog. Every nation has a national catalog. And all the catalogs, all the national catalogs are harvested by the European catalog, which, so you can see here, it's very small, but you can see the same data in the distribution, in the data set list, in the national catalog, and then in the European catalog. All of this is enabled by metadata that describe these data sets and by harvesting chain that is working between all the different repositories of the catalog. One of the data that we published is the data about the Next Generation EU funds. Probably everyone here is working with these funds. In Italy, we have more than 200 billion allocated for this innovation. But in particular, we have our department is using almost 7 billions dedicated to public sector digitalization and innovation. So we have like 20,000 administration involved. Of course, citizens and ONGs and everyone wants to have transparency, accountability about this kind of data. So we chose to publish an open data page about this kind of funds. And the funds are, the data is also published in a GitHub repository where we added frictionless data and DCAT metadata. The DCAT metadata is the format, as someone already said before, that is mandatory for getting into the catalogs that I was talking about before. Another project is the National Population Registry. Here we have published a dashboard with the numbers. This is some kind of storytelling or statistics, transparency, accountability, open government project. In this case, we decided to publish in the same way the raw data behind these graphs. Also, these data are published with metadata in the frictionless format and in the DCAT AP Italian format for metadata. In this case, we chose, for example, another license, which was the CC0 public domain license, because we thought it is machine generated data without any public intellectual property issue. How, where, and what do we publish? We chose to use scripts to gather data. We typically run the scripts every day automatically, so the data are taken from the databases or the logs of the systems and are published automatically every day. We chose to use GitHub because right now there's in particular our department has no CCAN. Most of the public administrations use a CCAN system to publish data. We didn't have any kind of CCAN available, so we decided to use GitHub, which is the same system that we use to publish our open source code. So and also open source metadata, for example, in the semantic category. So we decided to use the same flexible repository system. We published data both in CSV and JSON formats, basically because JSON format is useful for web publishing or application or for creating applications or views, and the CSV format is easier for people that are used to have tabular data. So we we usually published both of them, and there are keys, like let's say foreign keys to other tabular data, like for example geographical data for municipalities. We added the frictionless metadata because we wanted to have a standard way of documenting the different columns, or let's say attributes of the data, and we wanted to have a strong typing for the data, and also to enforce constraints, because people are using those data, and they are opening issues on our repositories as every time they see strange data. So as if we can catch it as soon as it gets into the repository, it's better. So in general for data quality. And then we had the DCAT AP Italian guide version of the DCAT AP, which is unfortunately a little behind the European, the up-to-date one, but we are in the progress of updating it. The metadata in the DCAT AP is an RDF XML format. Some attributes are mandatory, others are optional. And these as I said before, are the metadata that are harvested and published by the National Open Data Catalog. Here, maybe I say something that everyone here knows, but I wanted to make sure that what is the problem, at least as from my point of view, which could be wrong, but I'm happy if you prove me wrong. Metadata is, we can drill down in metadata. So DCAT AP IT or DCAT AP solves the problems of telling me which catalogs are available, which data sets are in each catalog, and which distributions for each of the data sets. And it deals about the contents of the data, the names, of course, the titles, the description, the themes, which is a control vocabulary which is useful to aggregate the data sets, and the licenses with which I distribute these data sets. Frictionless drills down to the columns or the attributes of the data sets. So it goes to attribute description, to data type, set and constraints. So this is the two sides of the frictionless. What we asked Sarah before, and thank you for being here, is while our dream is having one metadata to root them all, because we think it could be very useful to add one file for each data set and describe both the catalog information and go down to the data description and attributes. We have seen already some efforts, and some of you were already talking about some issues opened in the repositories, but of course we don't we would be fine with a partial implementation, as long as it enables us to publish the data in and have a first implementation. What I say is that it's a very good moment, because everyone, there are many rules, especially in Europe, to publish data sets with APIs in open data. They are called the high value data set regulation, which has been promoted some days ago, and it would be a very good moment to have one metadata that can go down to the description of the API payload, and not only with what the API is about. I'm finished with my introduction. I would like to hear what you think about it and discuss. Our department is very interested in having in also having creating a group, a working group about this, and trying to bring this to some kind of shared regulation or at least a shared standard. So thank you for now.